this bike a few minutes ago, but I hadn't started it or run it or ridden it in 30 years, so this is pretty cool for me to do this. And I remember from the old days, it likes a lot of gas to start. It's always been the way it's been, so here goes. So I'm down here in Miami, Florida. I came down to drop some bikes off to my brother, and I'm standing here with a really important bike to me and him, and probably to a lot of people. This is a CNL Hog Shop bike built by Lou Falcigno in the 1980s. I think it was an Easyrider in the 90s, but this was Lou's style. You know, what I love about the style is it's the David Mann style. I mean, the lines are perfect. If you look at any David Mann painting of a Shovelhead or Panhead chopper with Frisco tank, I mean, this is the bike. Lou had moved from Connecticut to Fort Pierce, Florida. He was only a few miles from where I lived, and I used to ride down and see him quite a bit and talk to him. And meeting him to me was like meeting Indy Larry, who was one of those guys that me and my brother really looked up to. His style had a huge influence on our style, and you know, I could probably really say stylistically, my brother and I don't want to speak for him, but I know for me, it was Lou, it was Pat Kennedy, Indy and Larry, those three styles, you know, and Pat Kennedy's kind of way out from those other two, but if you look at what I do, it's a combination of this stuff. But it's a stroker Shovelhead and a stock Panhead frame, no rake, no stretch, Frisco-mounted Sportster tank, which means the tank, you know, the bottom line of the tank is mounted to the top line of the frame. Stock length Harley-Davidson Springer, ape hangers, real tight rear fender, custom leather seat, dual pipes. I mean, very simple motorcycle. You know, a little wheelie machine, fun to ride, super light, handles real good. And I mean, it's just got that East Coast style that's so different from everything, you know, you see. Here's Easyriders magazine number 72 from June 1979. It's got a little article about Lou Falcigno and Casey Maas. Casey was the C in CNL Hog Shop. These bikes were built almost 10 years before the eyeball chopper. Except for in San Francisco. The San Francisco style was just like this in the 60s. So just a really, really important bike, and I haven't sat on this bike or ridden this bike in about 30 years. I worked on it. It was really hard to start, and did a bunch of work on it for a friend of ours who owned it, and it passed hands from one friend to another over the years, and I had really got interested in getting my hands on it, and my brother got it, and I was just so happy that it's in the family because it's such an important piece, and it's a really important piece of motorcycle history. And I've talked to a few people who've been around for a lot of years and told them that my brother has this bike, and they were like, you gotta be kidding me. And this is a 96-inch Shovelhead. I'm gonna take it for a ride, and I'm gonna prove that to you. It's got aluminum Akront rims, got a high shoulder in the front, and then it's a suicide clutch. So there's your clutch mechanism and suicide shift. So the way this one shifts is it's 1 back and 3 forward with a 4-speed, and that's your shifting. Crazy to ride it. The foot controls are really narrow for splitting lanes in the city, like how Indy and Larry used to build them. So this paint is by Billy Streeter. Streeter was doing David Mann style airbrush work. This is a fine example of that. You know, the frame's all flamed out and pinstriped. I mean, really kind of way ahead of its time. Von Dutch Flyin eyeballs on the front. So this was built for a guy named Keith Machinot, I think is how you pronounce his name, but yeah, Keith's custom leather, but it's got that Flyin eyeball in it. Bike is called the Flyin Eye, which is, you know, right there in the seat, and the seat's hard as a rock. I can attest to that. And as soon as you dump that clutch or that wheelie, your ass goes right up on that rear fender and makes the hook even harder. But man, it's one hell of a motorcycle, I'll tell you what. David Mann even once painted Lou riding one of his choppers on Daytona Beach.